Hello, I'm Jonasz Rewiński and you're watching Break the Fake. They make them, we break them, and tell you everything you need to know. You just can't put off testing. It seems that this is the phrase Putin would like to use to mark a new page in Russian history, preferably in bold letters. According to the Kremlin, he tried to get the Security Council's approval for the first nuclear tests in Russia in 35 years. But surprisingly, the Security Council did not rush to applaud. Some generals and officials suddenly decided that it might be better not to rush into all the explosions, the radiation, and the general Fallout 76-style shenanigans.
Хотел бы отметить, что Россия всегда неукоснительно придерживалась и придерживается обязательств по договору о всеобъемлющем запрещении ядерных испытаний. И планов отойти от этих обязательств у нас нет. Вместе с тем, действительно, еще в послании Федеральному собранию в 2023 году мною было сказано, что в случае, если Соединенные Штаты либо другие государства, участники соответствующего договора, проведут такие испытания, то и Россия тоже должна будет соответствующим образом предпринять адекватные ответные действия. В этой связи я поручаю Министерству иностранных дел, Министерству обороны Российской Федерации, специальным службам и гражданским ведомствам, соответствующим гражданским ведомствам, сделать все для того, чтобы собрать дополнительную информацию по этому вопросу, провести ее анализ на площадке Совета Безопасности и внести согласованные предложения о возможном начале работ по подготовке испытаний ядерного оружия.
The scene resembles the famous footage before the invasion of Ukraine, when Putin asked the members of the Security Council who was in favor, and they remained silent, as if taking an exam in geopolitical absurdity. Now, it's the same thing, only the stakes are higher. Some of the generals may have remembered that after the previous historic decision, their tanks burned in the streets near Kiev, not under the banner of victory. The currency and the stock markets reacted sharply to the announcements about nuclear tests. The dollar and euro rose by 1.5 rubles, although earlier in the day their exchange rates had remained virtually unchanged. Also, the Russian stock market made some sad noises and collapsed. So, it seems not everyone is eager for another Cold War cosplay after all. The Security Council is silent, the economy is crumbling, and Putin seems to be confusing politics with fireworks. Perhaps these guys, and a few other Soviet veteran commanders like General Ivashov, who recently voiced his displeasure at where Russia is heading after the botched invasion, simply know the script all too well. Once upon a time, the Soviet Union decided to jump headfirst into the international drag race of silos and warheads. And, in a plot twist nobody expected, the Soviet economy simply gave up at some point, followed by the USSR bowing out of the world stage. Is that the best scenario for reenactment? Don't think so, but of course, Putin is welcome to try. News of the day from the section Oil and Gas Tales of the Empire. In the first 10 months of 2025, the Russian budget lost almost a third of its energy revenues. According to the Russian Ministry of Finance, only 7.5 trillion rubles of the planned 10.9 trillion were received by the Treasury. In other words, somewhere between sanctions and world prices, the Russian pipeline started leaking. Not long ago, the Russian government assured us Europe will freeze and we will get rich. Now, it turns out that it is the Russian finances that have frozen over, not Europe. The Ministry of Finance has officially acknowledged that oil and gas revenues have fallen by almost 30%. Translated from bureaucratic jargon, this means that there is less and less money for the war, but there is still enough for the propaganda. Among the culprits is 70% of Russian oil, which is now under US sanctions. And if Russia had once held the world at gunpoint, except the gun barrel was a pipeline, now the world has simply turned off the valve. According to the Kremlin's plan, part of the profits were to be set aside in the National Welfare Fund, but now this fund should be renamed the National Everything's Gone Fund. Instead of millions in the treasury, there are only promises that everything will be restored soon. How soon, though? I suppose that stopping the war might be useful, and Putin is definitely considering a peace deal to... Oh, wait. Well, billions evaporate, or go up in smoke, courtesy of Ukrainian drones paying regular visits to Moscow's refineries. The Russian province is sliding back into the 1990s. Against the backdrop of decline are pothole roads, ice-cold houses, and the ever-loyal Kremlin television that explains this is how it should be, because we are fighting NATO for the spiritual identity of Mother Russia, or something.
Уникальная находка Хабаровска – это загоны для нечистот. Люди, лишенные канализации, вынуждены сливать сюда свои горшки. Как жизнь у вас?
А?
Как жизнь?
Как жизнь?
Да.
Мы уже живем 44 года. И до сих пор сносим. Завалится, все валится нам.
Не переселяют вас?
Да вы что? Я живу в этом доме 44 года. Ничего, за квартиру отдай 2000. Вот сейчас иду за квартиру платить.
Many commentators and officials now say that the war has turned out to be a truly monstrous folly on Putin's part. And here's the thing, throughout history, any folly, be it a literal, freakish work of architecture or any other whimsical endeavor, could never exist without one thing: money. Follies are the province of eccentric rulers and billionaires and are intrinsically incompatible with the act of going broke, which, surprise, surprise, Russia may just be about to do if it carries on along the same path. World politics has once again been graced by an unexpected surprise. No sooner had Zoran Mamdani won the mayoral election in New York than a miracle emerged from the depths of the Russian internet. Putin's grandmothers. They recorded a video with warm words of support for the new mayor of the American metropolis.
Мы, отряды Путина, видели вчера, как ты, Захар Мамдани, победил в Нью-Йорке. Мы очень рады за тебя. Революция – это здорово. Собирай отряды и вперед.
У нас в отрядах Путина есть специалист по классовой борьбе, Елена Семеновна. Она с тобой, Мандани, проведет любую консультацию по классовой борьбе. Она высылает тебе свои любимые томики Ленина. Читай и учись, и все у тебя получится.
Мандани, удачи!
One can only imagine how Mamdani is now peacefully drinking coffee somewhere in New York, unaware that in Russia he has already been declared the Kremlin's main ally. If he happens to see these greetings, he will probably stare at the screen for a long time and ask himself, who the hell are these ladies and why are they calling me comrade? Also, one of the ladies holding a book by Lenin, I don't even think Putin actually likes Lenin that much. So, I don't know, maybe it's a bit of a risky move. Also, remember how just months ago Trump had been Russian propaganda's greatest hero and savior? Oh, how quickly things change. Let this be a lesson that Moscow has no ideology, no affiliations. It does not support anybody because they are a conservative, a Christian, or a communist. The whole narrative is purely instrumental and designed to create chaos agents, undermine existing order, and fuel the fires of discontent. Once Trump smacked Moscow with sanctions in anger, the affection of Moscow's faithful has simply moved on to the next guy. Because when everything is said and done, Russia has only one true ally: itself. And with this, we conclude this edition of Break the Fake. Please stay with us here on TVP World for more latest news and updates.